Hello everyone. What a beautiful day we have. We've got completely blue sky, no clouds. We've got lots of bird song, and it's been like this for at least 3 weeks, and it's promised to be like this for another week. So we are delighted because we're getting all the sunshine that we need. The garden is getting the sunshine and everything is burgeoning and growing. It means we have to do watering because usually we don't water here because it's so damp, but we are having to water at the moment. So today I'm here in the herb garden because it's been a little bit neglected because we've been focusing on the polytunnel and sowing the vegetables and planting out the vegetables and keeping an eye on those because obviously we need to eat. But today I'm in the herb garden, and because of the fantastic weather, everything is going wild, crazy, growing beautifully. And I thought it's a perfect time to just chat about herbal medicine, why I love using it, why I believe it is a radical act to grow your own medicine, and why I believe that when you're working with plants, you're facing the truth. And that's such a refreshing thing because we're lied to all the time. The media lies to us, our politicians lie to us. Nothing is as it seems. And when you come into a herb garden, you're just faced with the truth on many levels. So I'll just show you a few things that are growing here as we're going along. So comfrey I put in here about 6 months ago, and then the chickens came and they scratched it all up, and I thought that would be the end of it. I stuck it back in, and fortunately it's taken and it's multiplied, and I've got a nice little comfrey bed here as well as down below. The elecampane is flourishing. And unfortunately, we've got lots of plantain and oxeye daisies here. They're medicinal, but they're everywhere, so I don't need them here in the beds where I'm actually growing things myself. And this plant isn't a herb at all. I had a couple of them in that bed, and they've self-seeded during, or maybe because of Storm Eowyn. And this is a medieval vegetable called salsify. It's a root vegetable. It's said to taste like oysters, so I've never actually tasted it myself, but maybe I will this year because it has self-seeded so much. And it makes a beautiful, beautiful flower like an allium, and then it turns into this beautiful puffball head like dandelion, except much, much bigger, and it's a kind of golden colour. It's absolutely stunning. So I'm going to just leave it because it is so beautiful. And the other herbs I have here are catnip and parsley and golden marjoram and valerian. There's evening primrose popping up, lemon balm here. I have 2 apothecary roses that are just beginning to bud, and I've just sown some motherwort, hyssop and elecampane. And other things are beginning to make themselves visible as well. So I'm here today, I'm going to plant a mullein plant that just accidentally self-seeded into this pot. And I'm also doing a lot of weeding. So herbalism, growing your own medicine, is a radical act because we're supposed to be in a system where we're tightly controlled and we're steered through certain systems. You know, we're educated and then we grow up and we're working in the system, and then we get sick and we go into the other system. And really, we lose all our autonomy and personal control and personal resilience. So it's very radical to say, no, I'm going to actually grow my own medicine and look after my own health and be responsible for me. I don't need you out there to be responsible for me. And so that is really going against the grain. And it's because, and I've got this thing at the moment in my head about Descartes. He's the father of modern philosophy. But he had, I think the poor man was under some kind of mental breakdown, because apparently he had these dreams where God spoke to him and explained that the only thing which is very ironic, The only things that are true in the universe are those things that can think. And that's why he said, I think, therefore I am, and led him to presume that all these other sentient beings were not thinking and therefore are not. They're just things. They're just automata. They're just part of this mechanical universe. And so over the last 400 years, people have been ever further removed from understanding that they are part of nature, not looking into it from the outside. We're actually in it, part of it. But we have this disconnect. And so that has played into the medical profession, because if you believe you're disconnected from nature, that you're not part of it, you might ridicule the notion of taking herbal medicine or believing it can work. But of course, herbal medicine or plant medicine has sustained humanity for millions of years, if we go back to our very early little prototype human. So that's why herbal medicine is for me. But going back to Descartes, who believed that truth was only there if you could think and know that you were alive, I think it's ironic that it's only really when you're in with your plants that you can see and understand the truth, because they are living sentient beings. They're there, they do their thing. They're working in all manners of ways that we can't see or necessarily appreciate. You know, there's lots of chemical communication under the soil because of the mycelia. And the truth is, they're just there. They don't pretend to be anything else. And when you have a health complaint and you're seeking help from the plants or from any modality, you have to try to get to the root cause. And that means really looking into yourself, looking at the truth of who and what you are. So you might be displaying a digestive issue, for example, but that could be because you're under stress, you've experienced trauma, you're feeling some kind of negative emotion, maybe jealousy is eating you up, maybe anger is eating you up, and you just think you have a digestive complaint, so you might pop a pill. Whereas when you're working with the plants, you have to be truthful to yourself. You have to uncover the truth of the matter. So I just find it very therapeutic and restorative to be in a garden with plants, because I'm surrounded with truth. And in ancient Ireland, I think I've said it before on an earlier video, the ancient Celts believed that truth was I suppose you could say, the pillar or the support that held up the universe, held up the sky so it didn't crash down to earth, held everything in place so that everything was safe and okay. And if the truth was ridiculed or ignored or abused, well, everything would come crashing down. So I've mentioned before that I've been doing this biodynamic course and electroculture. So you might have seen this beautiful decoration, which is an old willow stick with copper wire around it, and I've put on a rose quartz crystal, because the idea is that, again, to emphasize Descartes' mistake in thinking the universe is mechanical. It's not. It's a moving, living, vibrational, non-stop spinning force of life and vitality. And there are different forces. So what this does is it's in the earth, so it's grounded in the earth, drawing up earth energies. And because it's going up into the air, it's also attracting cosmic forces. And they come together. One is spinning one way, one is spinning the other way, and they create a kind of chaotic vortex. It's not really a vortex because it's chaotic, but that energy coming together, crashing together, radiates out and helps the plants. So this only went in yesterday evening. I've got some new little herbs that have just been planted there. So we'll see. It's all experimentation at the moment. You know, you have to find your own truth. So this is what I've been taught, and now I want to put it to the test and find the truth of it for myself. So I'm very excited about that. And again, you know, it's so interesting, isn't it, how we're led to believe that something is normal. So, for example, people who are using herbicides and pesticides, it's been so normalized. You buy these things in the garden center where all the plants are. And yet, you know, go back to the truth of it. These things were used as weapons of warfare in the First and Second World Wars. And, you know, they were stockpiled and then they weren't used. How do you make money on that? Sell it off as something else. And let's poison the soil and let's poison the plants instead, because that's what it's doing. And I would really advocate for non-spraying. You know, we've just cleaned our path in the polytunnel using a mix of vinegar and water, and it's worked a treat. It has killed off the plants that were on the path, but there's billions of those plants in this garden, and they're just not wanted on the path. So I'm not warring against the horsetail and the couch grass. I'm simply getting rid of it on that one place, and I'm telling it because I do believe they're sentient. I'm just removing you from here, but you can flourish in the other places. And so there's no need to use these products, which are actually a lie. They're sold to us as a lie. These plants, there's a cleavers plant. It shouldn't be in here because it's allowed to grow wild. And it's just doing its own thing. It's being truthful to itself. So that's what we need to remember as well when people say, oh, this is invasive and we need to get rid of it. It's just being truthful to itself. It's doing its own thing. It's not trying to harm anything else. It's just being a cleavers plant, and it likes to wind around other plants. But again, the truth of it is that it's here because it wants to help, because it's a lymph cleanser. It's cooling and supportive of the urinary system. And, you know, it has many other actions as well. So just look into the truth of things before you maybe go and use a herbicide or a pesticide. Think about the truth of their story. Those things are not beneficial at all. And everything here seems happy with everything else, even though we regard some of them as weeds. I mean, this lungwort is going crazy, even though there are buttercups growing up in between it, in between each plant, and cleavers growing up. So I would just encourage everybody to be a little bit radical. And when you're being radical, you're not doing anything wrong. You're simply taking responsibility for yourself and for your own environment as well. Anyway, enough of the lecture. I'm going to go back in and finish my weeding and do a little bit of tidying up in here. So I hope that's given you some food for thought. Look at this beautiful bee. Can't remember the name of this plant. So yeah, have a wonderful week. I hope you're out enjoying the sunshine as well, because the truth of that matter is we need sunlight on our skin to remain healthy. We don't need to be covering it up with sunscreen. So be a rebel, look after yourself, and I'll see you next week. I hope you enjoyed today's film. If you did, subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. And have a look at the website danusirishherbgarden.com for more information about us and about the herbal medicine courses I offer and the Wise Woman Way training. And if you go to the shop, you can find the books, the weed handbooks and other herbal goodies. And remember, we put a new film out every Sunday. So looking forward to seeing you next week.